Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we're here with my blind reaction to episodes 12 and 13 of Hell's Paradise, the final two episodes of the season. And while we have a second season confirmed, it's going to be interesting to see how this ends. Blade Dragon is now aligned with our heroes, mostly Gabimaru. We find out a lot more about May, and Hoko seems to be dead because the others have wandered into the central portion of the island, and because of that, they've come across the leader of our bad guys. So, how is this all going to go down? How is this season going to end? I guess we're about to find out. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into this and see what this finale has in store. And hopefully it doesn't end on too big of a cliffhanger. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, we have finally defeated one of the Tencent, only one of them, unfortunately, and actually fully killed them, which is insane. I believe the name was Jujun, the peony one, they said, something like that. I'm sorry, certain details will fly over my head, but I'll get the gist of it. I'm just gonna say June, unless I'm told otherwise in the comments and stuff. So June is not the leader. Rien, I think, is the leader's name. See, I thought June was the leader because of the opening very notably showing them. It very notably shows them at the one point of the opening. And so I guess in my mind, I just kind of associated them as the leader of the Tencent. But no, we haven't even met the leader yet. Which is actually kind of surprising. That by the end of the season, we haven't even met the leader. And I know that this series is not too long. I know that there's not much left in the series. I presume there's probably only going to be one season left. I don't think there will be a third season. I don't think there's enough content left. Because, I know the series, the manga, isn't that long. So, if that's the case, that's insane. We're going to end up meeting the leader of the Tencent very late game. I don't think we're going to be able to take out all of the Tencent one by one, though, if that's the case. Even if we had a 2-core second season, I don't think that's enough time to take out every single one of the Tencent one by one. I mean, it might be, but it's I don't know. I don't think we're going to have a 2-core second season. I just don't see that happening. I don't see there being enough time left and enough left to do in the story. Because even with bringing in this second squad that's going to be heading to the island, I don't think there's enough time to have, more than maybe 13 episodes again. I might be wrong. I might be completely wrong, but I guess we'll see. I mean, yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. These two episodes were mostly centered around this fight with little bits of Gabimaru and that team being shown. With the big stuff happening in episode 13 with Gabimaru's memory loss and his Tao being completely disrupted. So I'm just going to mention the stuff that really has me that is the most interesting, most notable stuff. So let's keep on the Gabimaru thing, and let's talk about the thing brought up by Yuzuriha about is his wife even real? Because Sagari brings up, and this is after Jujun is defeated, brings up the fact that if the elixir of life doesn't exist, which Jujun claims it doesn't, as they know it, that if a human drinks the elixir, they just become a tree. But she's like, if the elixir doesn't exist, then what about Gabimaru's chief? He showed that it existed. He proved it, and she's like, that could have just been an illusion. Like, I mean, I don't know for sure. I'm only like presuming, but like that's something that we can do as shinobi. We can just make illusions to make it look like that, especially to a younger student, in order to get them to follow us. And so it shows the idea of Gabimaru as a kid witnessing this and everything, and the idea that this was done as a way of gaining his loyalty further and everything. But we don't actually know if that's true. We don't actually know at all if that's true, because this is literally just Yuzuriha presuming. It's literally just her putting forth an idea. Nothing about this is guaranteed, and honestly, I don't fucking believe that. Now, I don't know about the entire chief part of things, but it goes further when the idea is brought up about Gabimaru's wife possibly not even being real. That I don't fucking believe. Not even for a second, because that is literally his entire motivation as a character. Like, yeah, I mean, conceptually, could they do that? Could the creator of this series, the original mangaka, completely pull the rug out from under us and reveal that the wife was never real this entire time? That this was just a false memory implanted into him? Yes, conceptually that could be done. And honestly, it could even be done well. But I also do not fucking believe for a second that that's the case. Because the issue with that here is that, again, literally for this entire first season up to this point, this has been Gabimaru's one motivation. His singular goal, everything that has been pushing him forward. And the thing is, it wasn't at first. And what I mean by that is that wasn't originally his motivation or goal at all. That only came into account because of what Sagari had said to him. Because he saw his wife as a burden before. Why would that be the case from the training? Why would they have implanted the idea in his head that he had a wife who was a burden? The idea of him loving her was something he only realized after Sagari talked to him about it. It was something that only came into his mind, that only became like truly real to him at that point. Like, he loved her prior to that, but he didn't realize he loved her. He didn't understand that he loved her. It never crossed his mind because he was trained for it to not be a thing for him. He was trained in a way where love wouldn't make sense. So the idea of the Iwagakure planting that idea into his head to control him makes no real sense. Because it goes against literally everything else that they've done, and everything else that seems to be their core beliefs and ideals regarding how to control their, shinobi. And it kind of goes against the entire idea of, like, the chief's showing of immortality being fake. If that's fake, then that means he tried to control, and did, Gabimaru through a showing of strength, a showing of power, of what is the word? A showing of superiority. Let's put it that way. He is immortal. He is better than everyone else. He can't be killed. Why would you then implant a secondary kind of like controlling method, a false memory of Gabimaru having a wife, but making it so that he believes that his wife is a burden? That makes no sense. That doesn't encourage him in his shinobi training at all. It doesn't encourage him to remain loyal. It doesn't encourage him to remain steadfast. It doesn't really do anything. The entire idea is just, it goes against everything else that they've been taught, because it doesn't do what the training and control of the Iwagakure are supposed to do for him. So why would they do that? And if the chief's immortality is real, then the same still comes out to it, because even though it's not a false illusion that he's controlling Gabimaru by, in that case, he's still using it, using his immortality as a tool to show his status, his power, his superiority, in order to make Gabimaru submissive to him and his ideals. It amounts to the same thing either way. And Gabimaru's wife, the only reason that she would be faked doesn't work, because he didn't know he loved her originally. Again, the idea that, oh, she was created to give him a reason to fight and everything, it's like, he didn't know he loved her. That entire argument, it makes no sense, because his love for her was realized thanks to Saguri. That doesn't work. Because that's clearly not a thing that was trained into him before. What seems to be the case is that the marriage was meant purely for, reproduction, padding out the Iwagakure clan, giving them more future shinobi. That's clearly what the marriage was for. It was not meant for love at all. Like, Gabimaru was not supposed to love her. She was basically supposed to be seen as a tool. And we know her father views her as lesser. We know he views her as such because he even scarred her to prove that. Because she's literally meant to be a baby factory for the clan. But thanks to Saguri, Gabimaru realized he loved her, that he had genuinely fallen for her, and it's something that goes against his very teachings, that goes against everything that the Iwagakure stand for. It makes absolutely no sense to believe that she's faked. But the idea that the chief's immortality is faked could very much be the case, because it doesn't matter one way or the other. Whether he was really immortal or not, the outcome kind of remains the same in regards to the brainwashing in that way. So no matter what, I 100% believe that Gabimaru's wife is real. Like, there's not even a split seed of doubt in there. While, as for the chief's immortality, that could go either way. But the concern about what that means for when they return is still there. Because if the elixir of life does not exist, the shogun's not going to accept that. or even just fucking believe them. Honestly, the Shogun will probably think they're trying to keep it for themselves and have them all killed, including the Asaimon. Like, if they don't bring back the elixir of life, the idea is that all of them are dead. Not just the criminals, the Asaimon too. Like, they are expendable. 100%. The Shogun does not care. So, that's a real concern. What do you do in that regard? I kind of have to believe because of that alone that there has to be some kind of elixir of life. And maybe Jujun just didn't know about it? I don't know. Or maybe even he was lied to. It's hard to say right now. Um, I also want to talk about Senta. Senta was this character who throughout this season has been the smart guy. He's known all about this history of religion and whatnot, and has helped the crew not through sword skills, but through his knowledge. He's, let's be honest, kind of a pushover, not the bravest guy, and we find out why. While he technically is good with a sword, maybe not the best of the Asaimon, but still, he never wanted to be an Asaimon. He wanted to be an artist growing up, but was literally forced into this traditional career path against his will. He was given no choice and eventually gave up on his dream, which is really fucking sad. And unfortunately, really fucking real. Like, even in current day, there's a lot of people who are forced or coerced, at the very least, to follow in their parents' footsteps, follow in society's footsteps, and not follow their dreams. And especially here in America, part of that is because it's very often hard to make money following your dreams, and unfortunately, in a capitalistic society, you're gonna get fucked over if you don't think of money first. Most people in this country have to put aside their dreams to settle, basically. To settle for a job that makes them money but doesn't bring them happiness. Even if it's a job they end up growing to like, even if it's a job that they have fun in and have friends who work with them there, a lot of times it's not what they wanted with their lives. It's settlement. And it's because what they would really want to do is either extremely hard to obtain or unrealistic, unfortunately, through various reasons. There were multiple things I wanted to be when I grew up. When I was a kid, there were things I wanted to be like. I wanted to be I wanted to be a firefighter at one point. I wanted to be a pro wrestler at one point. An astronaut. You know, typical things kids want to be. But I knew that I wasn't physically fit and didn't like physical fitness. And all three of those jobs actually kind of require it. Even astronauts have to be physically fit to a degree. At least to some degree. Not as much, anywhere near as much as a firefighter or a pro wrestler, but still. I also have an aversion to pain. I don't like pain. I really don't like pain. And I don't like doing things that could put me in pain. I also really don't like fire. So that kind of counts out firefighting. Though, admittedly, that kind of smaller fear didn't come into play as much until later in my life. Like I was in high school and I literally was witness to a burning house, to a house that was on fire, big ass fire, burning down with my church group. I'm not even kidding you. We were spending time at a person's house, just hanging out and stuff, and a nearby house in the neighborhood, literally within walking distance, was on fire. Obviously, firefighters were called and everything, but that freaked me out, and that really like created a fear of fire in me that I kind of had a little bit before, but not to the degree that I had since. So yeah, that was like 2010, I want to say 2010 or 2011. Um, it was when I was down in Georgia. It was my last couple years of high school. That I don't remember exactly which year it was. 2010 or 2011 for sure. Um, but yeah, the point is, it just it's something that freaks me out, you know? And Senta was never the bravest. He was never that strong. And him being forced into this thing that he didn't want to because of this tradition was terrifying to him. And people in real life are afraid to go into all of these different kinds of jobs that they want to do because they're afraid they're going to be homeless. They're afraid they're going to not be able to support themselves and their families. We want to be all these kinds of different things when we grow up, but we have to, unfortunately, either take a realistic route or find some kind of alternative that allows us to live to some degree. For me, I have to live in a very unenjoyable situation. I would rather not be in the living situation I am, but I have to because it's the only way I have to be able to do something that I want to do. I can't go past that without causing extreme mental stresses. And the thing is, not everybody's like me. Not everybody has all these mental issues that would cause them extreme depression and suicidal tendencies if they settled. Most people do settle. I haven't been able to, and I tried in 2013, and I almost killed myself because of it. But I'm not going to get into all of that here. I've talked about that on the channel before. Not going to get to it again here. The point of all of this is Senta had to settle. He had to settle and give up on the job he wanted because he was forced to. And Yuzuriha understood that. So when he ended up sacrificing himself to save her in the end, because of how much he envied her freedom, she appreciated it. She saw why he did that. And after Jujun was killed, she knew that there was no way to save him. There was no way to help, and she knew it would be cruel to give him that hope and even try. Instead, she sat beside him and comforted him and told him, the job you were forced into means nothing anymore. Spend these last moments thinking about whatever you want to think about, whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you comfort in the end. She was there for him in a way that she needed to be, in a way that he needed her to be. Sagari, her idea of this, her idea of wanting to help him, was very much rooted in, like, genuine care. She wanted to help him. But her method of going about it would have been, unfortunately, cruel and unintentionally mean. And that's not what she intended, and Yuzuriha knew that, but in the end, Yuzuriha had to give Senta a proper send-off, and she gave him hope one last time. She gave him happiness one last time. And this kind of writing is why I love this series. Because Yuzuriha is, like, introduced as this character who uses her body to entice people. And then you see it in the end of this season. She sits by this guy who she has no reason to care for. He's literally just her monitor on this island. He's literally just supposed to keep her under control. Actually, they weren't even assigned together, right? Wasn't she originally assigned with Moromakia? He ended up just going with her after that fact. He and Genji both ended up going with her after the fact to keep an eye on her and all, right? So there was definitely no reason for them to have that connection, right? Or am I wrong? Or what? No. Maybe she did come with Senta because it showed them on the boat. Yeah, it showed them on the boat. She took out Moromakia separately. That was a completely separate thing. Moromakia was a criminal also, not a Simon. What am I thinking? I confused myself. I hurt myself in confusion. No. She did kill Moromakia. And he was taken by the flowers and everything. We do know that. But he was another criminal. Genji was his assignment, was his monitor. And so that's why both Genji and Senta were there with her. Senta was her original monitor. I don't know, like, my mind just went into a weird place there. All the rambling and ranting and everything just confused myself. But yeah, the point is, she still had no real reason to care for him as much as she did. But she grew to because of how good of a person he was and how kind he was to her. And in the end, this shinobi who is trained to use her body to manipulate men, instead uses her body to give him warmth, to give him genuine comfort, as she helps him, eases him into his final rest. That's good character writing. That is good character writing. I'm sorry, I am impressed as hell by that. I really am. And on top of that, their group ended up during the fight being joined by Shion and Nuragai. They ended up joining the fight and helping out and were instrumental. In fact, Shion landed the killing blow. Which is very satisfying, after he kind of resigned himself to revenge for his student's death. It was satisfying. It was a good choice to have him land the killing blow. I think it was right. The fight was insane, and the fact that these two episodes were mostly focused on it with very little of Gabby's crew focused on was surprising, but also I think it needed it. We already had some good focus on Gabby fighting one of the Tensen, and then him teaming up with Blade Dragon to take on these weird bug people. And so I like how we now switch the focus to the other team taking on a Tencent. And the fact that the other ones are the ones who win and that not Gabby, that he actually ends up losing and has to be saved by May and everything against the Tencent is a really good twist on things. Because Gabby is the main character of this series. He lost, and the supporting cast are the ones who won. They're the ones who beat one of the Tencent. It's a different Tencent than Gabby fought, but still. I like that. It switches things up and shows that even though they are supporting cast to Gabby Maru, they're still important characters. They're not just like side roles. They're not just supporting cast. I use that term mostly because it's the easiest, most used term for their kind of character roles. But it shows that they're important too, and that their lives and them getting out of here are just as valuable as Gabby Maru doing so. That's, we should be cheering for and supporting them just as much as we are him. It's, again, good writing and good character work. Seeing Shion and Nuragai join the fight and all was really cool. Seeing how they helped out and how just everything went down was great. Seeing all of them work together, and hell, while Shion got the final killing blow, he only knew exactly where to strike thanks to Senta's knowledge. Senta was instrumental in taking Jiujun down. And that's awesome. Even though he did unfortunately pass away, that his wounds were fatal, he got to pass away content. Not only from helping out those around him that he grew to care for, but also, again, because of the comforts he received from the most unlikely of sources. From Yuzuriha. And so the season does end off on a cliffhanger, with Gabimaru having lost his memory, and of course the post-credits scene with another Asaimon and another group being sent in, which we already knew was happening. We already knew that was going to happen, so not a surprise. But I can't wait for next season. It's gonna be so good. This series is just amazing. It's like there's just so many good shonen that have come out lately. You have Chainsaw Man, or I don't know. Would you consider Chainsaw Man a seinen? Probably. Chainsaw Man would probably be a seinen. But Jujutsu Kaisen, obviously, season 2 is going for that. You have Undead Unluck, which just started, and the first episode of that was really good. Shonen's just doing well, and I'm excited for more. One Piece is obviously finishing out its biggest arc ever. Definitely at least the biggest since Marineford. I can't wait to see the future of shonen and how it continues to grow, how it continues to become awesome. And even the shonen that I'm not, like, a fan of. Like, other people still are, and other people are still enjoying the shit out of stuff like Attack on Titan or Demon Slayer or whatnot. So it's like, there's still plenty of other stuff out there for everyone. But that does bring an end for the time being to our Hell's Paradise reactions. We will very obviously be getting to season 2. But the question is, what's replacing it for now? Well, I've kind of said it, I believe. I've said it in a couple places already before now, but it's also not really that big of a surprise. We are going to be returning to Fire Force Season 2. We were taking a break from that, but now we're going to be able to go back into that. Probably finish out the season, I would presume. I very much don't think we're taking another break from that. Season 3 was supposed to come out this year, but I think it was pushed back. So I think season 3 is going to come out next year now. And we'll definitely get to it when it does. Maybe not right away, but we will get to it. Um, but we have to finish season 2 first. So yeah, I think the last arc we got through was, as I call it, Benny and Joker's Bizarre Adventure. um, I think that was the last arc that happened before I took the break. Um, and we found out quite a bit of big information from that. But I'll talk more about that when we get back to season 2 of Fire Force. It's taking over the slot right away. I just don't know exactly when I'm gonna get into the next episode. Maybe next week, maybe by the end of this week. Who knows? Whenever I'm feeling up to it, basically, as typical. But either way, I would love to hear your thoughts on these final 2 episodes of Hell's Paradise, and hopefully season two's opening will be as good, if not better, than this one. But all of that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.